But Judge Ross didn't want to talk about the bad things that happened, but she did want to set the example and explain what has happened through the years, and which many of these issues have not changed now. We know that when women are charged with misconduct, it's a different standard. They don't pay a fine, they lose their pensions. We know that their journey, and there are women right now at the bar who are going through, and judges, female judges, who are going through similar situations that Judge Ross endured way back when, in the 1989, when she and Peter Stewart filed the complaint. And what had happened was that because Judge Ross reported Justice Larson for attempting to bribe her, for calling her about a case, for attempting to influence her, and she, following the ethical rules as they existed then, somewhat modified today, but still telling the message that we have a duty to adhere to justice, to make certain that no wrongful acts occur, and that everyone has a fair shot. And because Judge Ross reported Judge Larson, who happened to be Judge Zavarella's friend, try to put the pieces together that, for those of you who are too young to remember, a formal petition was filed removing Judge Ross from Orphans Court, where she was known, which she loved, and where she taught so many lawyers. And in her pleadings, she said, so I'm not making it up, and I'm not putting words in her mouth, but I want you to hear her petition. And so she said in her petition, there was a petition for permanent transfer of Judge Ross, the Honorable Judge Ross, from Orphans Court to the Civil Division of the Court of Common Pleas of Allegheny County, filed in the Supreme Court of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania at number 120, Common Pleas Judicial Classification Docket, which I will tell you no one has been able to find in the last couple of weeks. Nevertheless, the petition of Judge Paul Zavarella indicated that Eunice Ross is presently assigned to Orphans Court, that permanent assignments are Administrative Judge Paul Zavarella, Warren Watson, Eunice Ross, and that it's necessary to realign the various divisions of the Court of Common Pleas of Allegheny County. The Orphans Court Division can maintain its current caseload management and disposition with 3 permanent judges, and 4. The Civil Division, however, because of the number of judicial cases required to try criminal cases within the constitutional mandate, has not had sufficient assigned judges. Wherefore, to facilitate the efficient and orderly disposition of the business of the court and the stability of the Orphans Court Division, petitioner requests approval for the permanent transfer of the Honorable Eunice Ross to the Civil Division of the court. And so it was done, so it was decreed, and so it was done, and Judge Ross asked for reconsideration. And attached, had many paragraphs which told about the real story. And she said, on February 28, 1989, Judge Zavarella informed the decree clerk that he may not enter through a petitioner, Judge Ross's anteroom, courtroom, or chambers under penalty of being fired. The secretary and tip staff were scrutinized greatly. Since February 28, 1989, your petitioner must go to the crowded and public clerk's office in order to discuss issues on estates with the decree clerk, and to sign her decrees of distribution. Since late May 1988, Judge Zavarella has engaged in a course of petty reprisal against the petitioner by refusing to return her greetings or observe vocal amenities when they meet by chance in public, so that the only acknowledgement of your petitioner by Judge Zavarella is in the course of handling court-involved cases or in interchanges concerning extraordinary scheduling for your petitioner, or in one instance the fate of a suspended employee. Wherefore your petitioner prays your honorable court permanently to stay and to vacate the order dated March 9, 1989, as having been based on non-disclosure of a material fact in the generating petition, because it was filed arbitrarily and capriciously, out of bad motive as a reprisal for your petitioner's testimony in the matter at number 140, Judicial Inquiry and Review Board, and because it gives preference and assignment to the senior judge over the wishes of a duly elected and commissioned judge. And so it began, and didn't end, as Judge Ross indicated, for 5 years. We hear that story, unfortunately, many times, too many, even today in our courts. And yet when Judge Ross asked for preliminary injunction, she went to the United States District Court of the Middle District of Pennsylvania and said that the plaintiff's transfer is scheduled to take place July 15, 1989. The transfer will cause plaintiff irreparable injury because it will deprive her of her First Amendment rights and because it will cause her damage, which cannot easily be measured. Paragraph 8 of that petition, the public interest will be served by the grant of the preliminary injunction because it will prevent the confusion and delay which will inure to the litigants of the Orphans Court if plaintiff is transferred from that court, proves her case, and then has to be transferred back to Orphans Court. And yet, that petition, which was dated July 11, 1989, and denied, continued the next 4 years until just months before she reached the magic age of senility, the age of 70, and aged out of being a commissioned judge, which is when, thank God, Commonwealth Court was so happy to invite her and to have her come. So when we look at Rule 8.4, misconduct, which we'll be talking about, it says it's professional misconduct for a lawyer, among other things, to engage in conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, or misrepresentation, or engage in conduct that is prejudicial to the administration of justice. And because her belief in that, she pursued her case, which ended in a decree and settlement, which basically said, Judge Ross offered in a letter an olive branch to Judge Zavarella, which he refused, but ended in a settlement with her being able to stay and go back to Orphans Court to finish out her days. And there was a wonderful editorial that summarized this, which is dated 3/24/89. And one of my lawyer friends will tell you, I've never thrown away a piece of paper in case it comes in handy someday. So here's the editorial. Fairness among the judges. Pittsburgh Press. If there's one thing that should be common to everybody in the nation's courtrooms, it's fair treatment. No judge can dispense justice unless he or she handles it with meticulous attention to fairness. Fairness and equal treatment, though, can't be limited to plaintiffs and defendants. Judges, too, should be treated fairly by the system. But one Allegheny County judge believes that's not the case, and she has accused another of harassment and retaliation. Common Pleas Judge Eunice Ross believes that so deeply that she has taken the extraordinary step to undo what President Judge Paul Zavarella has done. Against her wishes and with the approval of the Supreme Court, Judge Zavarella transferred Judge Ross from the Orphans Court Division to the Civil Division and has, as she says, harassed her. Judge Zavarella contends the move was made to help relieve a Civil Division case backlog. It now takes an average of 2 years for a case to come to trial in that division of the county's court. But in her petition to the High Court, Judge Ross says the moves were in retaliation for her testimony against Justice Supreme Court Rolf Larson, who is under investigation for alleged misconduct. That's a serious charge, especially since political overtones can be perceived. Judge Ross is a candidate for the Democratic nomination for a Supreme Court seat, and her boss at the Civil Division will be Administrative Judge Ralph Cappy, one of her two opponents in the campaign and the endorsed Democratic candidate. One can only imagine how many ways a boss could make things uncomfortable for a judge who serves under him, but is a significant rival for a Supreme Court position. Judge Ross's petition deserves complete, close, and expeditious review by the Supreme Court, which has the power to revoke the reassignment. We suggest, though, that the High Court not treat the petition as an internal matter, but as a public issue, with an open hearing, so that her allegations and Judge Zavarella's responses can be heard. That would be, as courtroom practices are supposed to be, fair. So,
Thanks, Shelley. Our only planning area is not trying to make this a 4-hour program. So I'm going to say just a couple things about clerking for Judge Ross, and then we have 2 more speakers, and then if we can manage, we'll have a few more questions. So I'm going to make it very brief, just to say that, I started out as an assistant district attorney, and when you start out as a prosecutor, you get a lot of trial experience. So for me, I left feeling like I could walk into any courtroom in the world. And I think I even felt that way when I began to clerk for Judge Ross. I had no idea what a law clerk did. I didn't grow up in a family of lawyers. And all of the things that you've heard today, many of them were happening. But for her, it was about mentoring me because I was her law clerk. And I don't think I realized even then what I was getting. But in reflection, I thought about things like, she let me write the opinions. And I later met law clerks who said, your judge lets you actually draft opinions. I'm only allowed to do research. In those days, the clerk jobs were part-time. She gave me incredible time to go develop my practice. And if I couldn't come at a certain time, it was fine. If I needed time to do my other work, it was fine, as long as I did my work. So it was never about really forcing me to do anything, and it was really about inspiring me to be a particular kind of lawyer. She would also say to me, I think there's a trial, this is one you should see. So in my experience, I was able, over a range of time, to watch the boisterous behavior of lawyers like Maurice Nuremberg, and I was able to watch the delicate, quiet, effective lawyers like Dale Hershey, and had the privilege of serving in the Orphans Court and in the Civil Division. So I think that today it's amazing to listen to you, Judge Ross, because after this history, to have this resilience, this positive attitude, a sense of humor, and to still speak so in such a determined way to everyone in the room about how important it is to continue. And it makes me think that of that adage about never forgetting that it's not just us, we stand on the shoulders of many. And there are just so many in this room who are talking about standing on your shoulders. And I don't know, it's just such a privilege to be part of the program. So I'm going to turn this over to Mimi, who's going to shorten what she was going to say, and to Amy, who's going to shorten what she was going to say, and then we'll try to see if a couple of other people can get questions in.
I can speak very quickly. And speaking of court reporters, Justice Ross, I used to have court reporters when I was trying cases get so upset with me because I was speaking so quickly that they just stopped typing and say, "You have to go slower." But they didn't do that to the men. So at any rate, first I wanted to, on behalf of the Pennsylvania Interbranch Commission for Gender, Racial, and Ethnic Fairness, and if I may, Justice Todd and Justice Donahue now, on behalf of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, I want to wish you, Judge Ross, not Justice, a happy birthday.
Thank you.
And to congratulate you on your many years of dedicated service to the community and also to the justice system. You're an inspiration to every female attorney, particularly in Allegheny County and throughout the Commonwealth. So thank you so much.